arts, lifestyle. SNS Online.
Hello and welcome to SNS Online. Today's special guest got his first taste of national fame after winning ITV's Stars in Their Eyes by effortlessly transforming into none other than Meat Loaf. Since then he has branched out to produce his own dynamic collection of original material, all with heightened emotion, big production, masculine overtones and soaring melodies that are synonymous with glorious rock, as well as a powerhouse voice to match. And the accompanying videos are as delicious as they are as camp as a row of tents. Let's take a listen.
There's something of the night about you, and it's not just your raving head. And there's nothing to do with the darkness of you and the sting of your ice-cold stare. There's something of the night about you. It's in every step you take. There's a high-stopping danger for every stranger who dares to make a mistake. I'm thinking that you're a sweet little angel. You can sing in his arms for a while. He'll be fitting into in the strength of your shoe, like the young as your tears they defile. There's something of the night, something of the night, there's something of the night about you. There's something of the night, something of the night, there's something of the night about you. You gotta jump and take a leap of faith before it's much too late, and have no fear at all. Fly like a cannonball and take a leap of faith before it's much too late, and have no fear at all. Fly like a cannonball. I don't know about love. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to see it, and I don't know how to give. I don't want to love, and I sure don't seek it. So if it's alright with you, you go ahead and keep it. That fortress built of age and glory has sunk into that hell ground. I will pull you from the wreckage going proud, and I will wear you like a crown. I will wear you like a crown.
Ladies and gentlemen and all they thems, a very warm welcome to Northern rock god himself, Steve Steinman. So Steve, loving your brand new single, I Will Wear You Like a Crown. What a powerhouse track, I've got to say.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an anthem, isn't it? It's
Totally.
yeah. You don't get songs like this anymore. And I've been lucky enough to be sent some amazing songs for my next album, and this is the one that we chose. And we thought, we got to put this one out first, and then the album will come out. And it just rings anthem. I think it'll be around a long time. I love storytelling. I love those songs that tell a story.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because you are sort of filling out stadiums every night, all around the UK. So this is such a perfect track for that type of thing.
Look, we do massive theatre tours and we do some arenas, and it would be fabulous to get to a point where I can tour all my own original songs, which is getting close now. I'm getting to a point where I'll take a leap of faith, and that was my last album's name, and I'll take a leap of faith and I'll set up a tour where it's just my stuff. That's my next plan. That's the next big move for me.
And it obviously turns out you're clearly an old hand at this, Steve. Over 30 years previous touring across the UK, pretty well nightly, with over 7 million tickets sold in that time. You must have a pretty large legion of diehard fans who can't get enough of you.
We do, yeah. I mean, from when I started, back in the early days when I first started, be doing pub gigs, and then we'd move on, and we ended up doing some theatres. And I've got people who came to them early shows. They've been following me for 20 plus years.
Wow.
It's amazing, yeah. But we put great shows on, great productions, and we change them all the time. So it's not the same thing. So every time they come, and some fans will buy tickets for 7 to 8 shows in the year.
Wow.
And every time they come, it's different. There's always something different. And that's what makes them keep coming back.
Well, that's live shows, isn't it?
Yeah.
As opposed to just... and obviously, in the modern world now, the way financially you're going to make a living is not really sort of, I'm just producing the records, as I call them still.
Yeah, making records, really, isn't it? It's not a money-making thing. You've got to tour. So, but that's nothing new to me. That's what I've always done.
Yep.
So it's just what I do is tour. And if the albums are successful, and which they are, I've had a #1 already in the rock charts, and this particular song's #1. I've had 5 consecutive #1 singles in the iTunes rock charts, which is phenomenal. Because considering I don't have a record contract. I've not got big money behind me. It's just me and my gang, and off we go.
So you've never had a record contract in all the 30 years?
No.
That's bonkers, but you've had such success. I mean, that's really quite an inspiring story. Could you tell us a bit about the background of that and, what kicked off this incredible career back in the day?
Yeah, I mean, it started for me. I used to run a restaurant, believe it or not, in my early days, in my early 20s, family business, and things didn't really work out. And I ended up going into just making a living. What do I do? I need to make a living. I could sing, and we went out touring. I just started doing the pub scene, and it grew from there. But, it's took 35 years to get where I am. It's a long way to the top if you take my route, basically.
Yeah.
There's been no fast route for me. There's been, back when I started, there was no internet, there was no promotion in that way, where these people are making it big by just getting viral on the internet and then getting a record deal.
Yeah.
Well, I've built a following, and I think, and I wouldn't say I would do it any other way. If I was to do it again, I'd do it the same way, because I've created an incredible business, incredible fan base, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
I was a prisoner behind city walls. You came like a night in the dark. I thought a love could keep us together, but these days it seems to tear us apart. We've been through the wars forever, and the world can seem so cruel and unkind. But you must never leave a lover, never leave a lover, never leave a lover behind. Never leave a lover behind. Don't you ever leave a lover behind. Wherever you go, I will find you. Never leave a lover behind. It doesn't matter if your heart's been broken and your soul's been to hell and back. Never leave a lover, never leave a lover, never leave a lover behind.
You're still based in Nottingham, yeah?
Yeah, we're in Nottingham now, but I'm Manchester born and bred, really. And then I ended up, I went off to work in South Africa, and I toured there and did Sun City and all that many years ago in the 90s, and then came back and based myself central so I could tour, because I've got the M6, the M1, the A1, and it's just a great, because I'm a tourer, that's what I do,
Yeah.
100 shows a year, and I looked at the map and I thought, there we go, that's where we're going. And I came back from South Africa after 2 years over there, and based myself here and started from scratch, really. I've done that 2 or 3 times now. It's gone back to basics and got to where I am now, which is awesome.
You're a proper grafter, aren't you?
We've done nothing
Workaholic.
but graft. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Do you mind if I rest here a while? We have traveled most of the night. Soon it will be morning, and I can see the first light. It's reflecting in your eyes. The road was hard and the journey long. Still you were there through it all. When I faltered, you helped me stand.
also you had a band called the Vampire Rock Band it's now the 20th anniversary of it. Was that always part of the thing to have people around you?
Yeah, I mean, 20 years, amazing. I mean, I've got John, who's one of my team, who tours with me. He's my backing singer. He's been with me for nearly 30 years, working with me. And now his son's my stage manager. The bass player is my sound engineer's son. It's kind of a real family affair. And it's great to have that, have these young, I say young kids, but I mean, they're in the 20s, the 30-year-old. That's just because I'm an old man now.
Trust me, I appreciate what you're saying.
It's fabulous, though, to see these young lads coming up and working with the dads. And, we're still on stage and doing our thing. It's fabulous.
I was always the bad one, born on the wrong side of town. My father would beat me just for fun, kicking me when I was down. Time I was just 5 years old, and I had the coffee brewing. He stumbled in, he knocked me out cold. Guess he didn't know what he was doing. He would lie on his dirty bed, sucking on his sour liquor, telling tales of the life he led, while I prayed for death to come quicker. Then one night as he came to, the fever filled his head. I whispered, I love you, and with his dying breath he said, I don't know about love, I don't know what it is, I don't know how to receive it, and I don't know how to give. I don't want love, and I sure don't seek it. So if it's alright with you, go ahead and keep it.
You run a production company as well, or is this part of the whole machine then?
Yeah, I run all my own office, all my own. See, everything is run by myself and my office and my team, and I own all the equipment, the PAs, the lighting, the sound, the Arctic trucks. Everything's owned by the company and by me. I don't do this where I will have tour managers or I have outside agents. We do everything, and it just cuts out the middleman.
Absolutely.
And it all comes down to me, and I'm ahead of it, and then I'm fronting it on stage. Some
great endorsements as well. I mean, in terms of special guests you've had over here, Sam Bailey, Toy Wilcox, but fantastic.
Yeah, Graham, we are, Twisted Sisters, Eddie O'Jage. I was doing a show in America, and we got talking, and I said, why don't you come over and do Vampires Rock? And I wrote a musical called Vampires Rock, Ghost Train musical, and that's toured forever. And we're about to go on tour with Vampires Rock Symphonic, which is a 20-piece orchestra, and all my guys. A big kind of the old-fashioned stage set, bombastic arena tour like bands used to do, Now all they seem to do is put up LED screens and project everything on it, where I like the old stage sets and, physical. A bit Iron Maiden, they still do it. They still do that, which is great.
And sometimes I'm thinking about where you are now. Maybe Paris or Rome, it doesn't matter anyhow. Do you still have that coat that you stole in Berlin? It was held at the front with a rusty old pin. Do your eyes still make promises I could never turn down? Does your face look the same, or you're painting it now? Oh, I miss you with my body and my soul. From the melodies you took to the poetry you stole. What we gained from each other, no one here will replace. Where the warm candlelight comes to rest on your face. Such a long time ago and so far from these walls, unanswered letters and telephone calls. I was waiting for you in the pouring rain, like an afterthought left, forgotten again. Well, I'm here and I'm cold, just like before. I'm waiting for you to walk through that door, and no one believes me when I say we were lovers, that we dreamed the underneath the same covers. So come to me, run to me, tell me you love me, at least for the memories and the starlight above me. Come close to me now, 'cause I've waited too long to be born.
This is your sixth consecutive #1 rock
Yeah.
chart single, and that your last album went to #1 too. Tell us about previous chart successes and collaborations. Any particular favourites?
Well, John Parr's the biggest collaboration I've had, who wrote St. Elmo's Fire, and he's having success again now with filmmaking. And John gave me a call. He said, I've got a song for you, Steve. He came to watch me do a show, and a few weeks later he says, I've got a song that'd be perfect for you, because he wrote this song with Meat Loaf back in the early 90s, and he'd gone over staying with Meat Loaf, and they both wrote this song, and they collaborated on it together, but Meat Loaf never actually then recorded it. It never got released, nothing ever happened to it, and he'd had this song sat on his shelf for 40 years or so. Everything they said was true, and he said, you'd be perfect for this song, and he gave me the song, we recorded it, and that went to #1, so that's my biggest collaboration, and great. I mean, John Parr, legend, what a guy. He's done so much and wrote so many songs for films, and Running Man with Al Schwarzenegger to 3 Men and a Baby, and obviously St. Elmo's Fire, and he's Oscar nominated, Grammy winning, so to be working with John, it was just amazing.
That is
Fantastic.
bonkers. Just fantastic.
There's no need to tell me where you're coming from. I can see my fate reflected in your eyes. I can taste the poison running high in your mind. I went crazy for a while. You gave an inch, but I took a mile. I made a desert from a grain of sand. But I still believe I'll make you understand. For the battles that were raging deep inside, I needed to escape, I needed time out of mine. I'm no victim of circumstance. I spun the wheel, I took my chance. Don't tell me what our so-called friends are saying. Just turn around, don't look the other way. You better believe me, I would Gabriel on his journey to the sea. I would climb each mountain that they put in front of me. I would break these chains with my bare hands. I would live forever in a cold and lonely place. I would sell my soul tomorrow for this momentary. How can you believe I'm after all we've been through? Look me in the eyes and tell me everything they said was true.
Your promo for your latest singles was released on Facebook quite recently, and it's already clocked up over 250,000 views
Yeah.
in just 7 days or something. I mean, that's
7 days, unbelievable. Yeah, and growing every time I go on and have a look at the video, there's another 3,000 on it. So we'll probably be up to that 500,000 in probably in 2 weeks, I would think, a total. So it'll just keep growing. I don't see it ending just yet.
And this is coming from a brand new album called Eternal Love.
Yeah.
So tell us about the album. I mean, what are the other tracks like?
Well, I've got some great writers, some amazing songs going on there. Some very rock and roll stuff, but all good fun storytelling songs. There's going to be about 8 tracks on the album. The thing is with my songs, very kind of Jim Steinman-esque in the sense that they're all like 9 minutes long. So you end up with a couple less songs on an album that you might normally have, but we've got some great songs coming up. And once I get this album out, if we can get a #1, then hopefully the year after we'll go out on tour. performing all the songs from both albums.
I love those long tracks you just get lost in, and they're a real journey. I remember being really into Camel in the mid-70s, and they had some epic long tracks.
Yeah, brilliant. I love them. Love them. It is a very 70s thing, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I know it's worth me waiting till your mind has taken in the day, and I know that all I want from you is just a wicked whisper away.
So touring next year, tell us where you're going to be.
Well, I'm everywhere. We're doing some of my own tracks in Vampires Rock. So what we'll do a combination of songs, classic rock stuff, mixed in with my own stuff. And so I'll be doing every major city.
Brilliant. Well, we can look forward to that. We're going to play out with I Will Wear You Like a Crown. Steve, thank you so much for joining us today. And we are so looking forward to the album as well.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
This baptism of desire, with your back against the wall, my flame for you is burning higher than the highest flame of all. I'll take your dragons and your demons, but I want your hearts and flowers too. That fortress built of age and glory has sunk into that hell ground. I will pull you from the wreckage going proud, and I will wear you like a crown. I will wear you like a crown. Your fire cuts me and it bleeds me, yet all the time it feeds me. I'm on a wire, blindfolded, like another one of all of your soldier angels struck out, long since fallen by the wayside, on the road to going nowhere. Now it's safe to the fall, my precious angel, as we swallow this bitter champagne. If I only had wings, I would steal you away through the clouds like Pegasus again. This baptism of desire, with your back against the wall, my flame for you is burning higher than the highest flame of all. I'll take your dragons and your demons,
arts, lifestyle. SNS Online.
I'm going to co-star with Marlon Brando. And she said, oh, darling, how lovely, Brandy Marlowe. I must tell Auntie Molly. Never heard of him.
At lunch, Ian McShane, John Hurt. I said to Ian McShane, what's a gynaecologist? And he goes, I know what that is. You know when you have ordnance survey maps and they stick little flags in, that's a gynaecologist.
What's your sort of preferred go-to space? Is it theatre or TV, or do you not have a preference?
I think it's really usually the favourite go-to space is really the writing.
She read my play, told me what was wrong with it because she was brilliant like that, and then said, you need to go and work with Akeborn. And Alan said to me, Peggy tells me you can write. Would you write me a play?
Our impression of the suffragettes, I think, has been skewed by these photographs because press photographers always pick the prettiest girl, prettiest woman, best frock. And I think a lot of people have been misguided in thinking the suffragettes were just middle-class women kind of messing about at politics.
I think all good actors are trying to shine a light on what it means to be human. You know, and to look at human behaviour and to look at contradiction.
I also think sometimes you can get away with doing more with comedy than you can with drama. You know, because if an audience is laughing, then they're listening.
Growing up, I was starved of any representation in books, and I would find my sort of characters I could identify with where I could find them. So, you know, I'd read Stephen King or I'd read whoever, and I would find other ways of relating to characters, but I didn't really know that there was such a thing as gay literature or gay books.
The thing was, there was such an emphasis on, like, medication in the hospital. You know, the doctors and the nurses, when I said that I felt suicidal, and they would react straight away and, you know, I'll take this medication and kind of go into this panic. Very little kind of talking about what was really going on. It was just like, you're ill, you're really ill, and you've got to take these medications, and we don't know what's going to happen to you, and that's it.
Are you enjoying now far more than you were enjoying the height of your success?
No, because at the height of my success, I was on private jets and limousines, and I wouldn't be stuck in a pub with the likes of you.
Well, that's charming, that is.
So I had the children in 1978.
They were slightly premature?
Slightly. Sneeze and they were there.
Britt Ekland turned and gave me a smile such as you have never seen. I got this wonderful, utter, total attention until she realised I was absolutely no use to her whatsoever, and it was all turned off as though the light was...
Oh, no!
It did make me laugh.
How much can you tell us about Mary Poppins, and can you succumb to tickling or bribery?
Neither, because otherwise I'll just get a huge smack bottom from Disney.
Now, as your voice is your instrument, how do you care for it? How do you care for your voice on a daily basis, and do you restrict the amount of shows that you do for that very reason?
I think as long as you have a good bass technique, you can kind of sing as much as you like or need to, as long as you're singing always on the breath, so there's a movement of the breath and the body is engaged in the singing. It just doesn't happen only from the throat. I guess in terms of voice or vocal care, then I wouldn't go to a loud concert or a night out and be shouting over the music and things like that in the week leading up to a concert.
No, perhaps not. Or have 20 woodbines.
And then the door opened and I went, blimey, you're Shelley Winters. And she said, and who are you? And I said, I'm Derry Fowles. And she put her tongue right down my throat. I never saw her again the rest of the evening.
We, the jury, find a defendant on the charge of receiving, and then there's almighty pause seemed like an hour. Not guilty.
Yes!
Oh, Jesus. I've gripped the brass rail. The judge's face was absolutely puce.
I love it.
He was as red as a beetroot.
You beat
the
system.
He was so angry, obviously.
Now, you have to understand, never in the history of the BBC had there ever been such a thing as a pilot episode. We didn't do things like that. They did that in America, but not here. So to get the chance to do it again was unbelievable.
So you're not dead?
Oh, no, I didn't die.
No. So you could come back?
I could, I suppose, but I'm not sure if that's likely. But you never know.
Okay. Well, watch your space, as they say. Keep tuning into Farm. I mean, Emmerdale.
There's a huge campaign at the moment about representation of older women in particular on screen, because we've got a long way to go with that. It seems to me that generally speaking, it's either a very sort of elegant Hampstead-dwelling idea of ageing, or it's a working class care home with dementia.
Dribbling.
A lot of people don't realise that acting is our first nature. The moment we're born, often the first thing we do is play peekaboo, with our parents. After a while, we start to enjoy the feeling of abandonment because they're going to pop up again and say peekaboo. And then from there, we develop, things like now you see me, now you don't. And then we start doing hide and seek. And then we start involving other people. And then lo and behold, as kids, we're playing and we're suspending our disbelief and we're using our imagination. And it's our first nature because that's how we learn. We learn from observation. We learn that when someone scuffs their knee, I'll act like my mum does when I scuff my knee. So we start invoking characters. We become the mother, we become the bully, we become the father figure, we become lots of different things. And that's how human beings grow up.
I thought to myself, well, if this is a twice-weekly programme and going on throughout the year, I should be editor. So
quite right, Sue.
So I gave myself the job, as it were, and had it on the credits. And nobody queried it. It was extraordinary.
I interviewed on the same day Idi Amin, the dictator from Uganda, and Harold Pinter. Difficult for me to say who was the most difficult and intimidating of the two of them.
Well, I mean, were you in the same room as these people?
I was in the same room as Harold Pinter. I wasn't necessarily, but I collected them.
That's probably the best choice out of the two.
Harold always was, but we became good friends over the years, and I didn't continue my relationship with Idi Amin, I can tell you that.
The worst people to interview, if you're a presenter, is another presenter, because you're then thinking, I know what they're thinking, and you're both playing a kind of strange game. And it's very difficult to play a game with somebody who's also playing a game, and you don't quite know what game they're playing, but you hope that it's sort of on the same court.
I read an article recently in The Guardian, and it was about Blue Peter, and it was about me flying a hot air balloon in the Arctic Circle across a frozen lake in Finland. And I thought, I even read it and thought, wow, that sounds amazing. And then I was like, wait, no, I did that. That was my challenge.
Do you think that you were the embodiment of, like, quote-unquote girl power way before it was seen as a thing? I mean, very ahead of the curve, but because you were so totally authentic, you were just getting on with it. It was way ahead of traditional women's lib in a way.
I get asked this a lot. It's only since making my documentary and watching it with an audience that I realize I didn't know what I was doing. I can't pretend I did. I was simply being uncompromising to changing anything about myself, and I'm still the same now.
Do you at all regret outing Rock Hudson towards the end of his life? I know a newspaper guy came to you and asked, simply based on the fact that he hadn't gone out of his way to hurt anybody in the LGBTQ community, would it be possibly better to have tried to persuade the man himself that he would feel so much better by coming out rather than making that decision for him?
I did try to persuade him, and he wasn't sick early on when I first met him. And we talked about it, and his husband, his partner at the time, said, not until my mother's dead. Which I thought was such an odd thing to say, because if I was fucking Rock Hudson, I'd want my mother to know. In fact, I did tell my mother at one point.
Did you? What'd she say? Was she impressed?
No.
There's a big thing these days, I'll just say to this, where people say, I'm just telling the truth.
Yeah.
No, darling, it's your truth. And what we're seeing now is we are asked to form opinions. And I know with opinions, I look at it this way. Is it true? Well, that's impossible these days, isn't it? Is it true? Well, who knows? Do I need to say it?
Yeah.
And is it kind?
Are you religious at all?
Not even slightly. Have been, but something happened to make me a little bit sceptical about all the various answers to the questions we pose about what life is about and how it started and when will the world end and what happens after death. And I couldn't find any answers to that. I once went on to a programme, and next to me there was quite a fanatical Islamist, and in the audience there was an equally fanatical Zionist, and they started to get at each other. And after a while, I was asked my view, and I said, thinking people were going to throw things at me, if I were God, I think I'd ban religion. And I got a round of applause. I think a lot of people feel that way. You know, whether or not you have faith, what is happening in the name of faith is sometimes really evil.
Lots of memories all this time. Bush House, of course. Let's talk about that.
Yes, an incredible building. And my department insisted that we should sleep there overnight. The shifts encompassed a break in them overnight, 4 or 5 hours of nothing. What on earth are you meant to do? Well, they provided some beds in very inappropriate places. It was a good idea to provide the bed, but actually you must also provide the conditions in which to sleep in it, which they did not. And they were in the terribly cold rooms, always very uncomfortable, or they were in the dormitory. What a horrendous experience the dormitory was. It was like a hospital ward with individual cubicles with curtains around each bed, and a lady came and woke you up when it was your time and shone a torch in your eye. It wasn't her fault she was told to do this.
Didn't she sort of shake your foot violently or something?
She grabbed your foot to start with, to wake you up, and then blinded you with your torch.
Okay, Alex, I have noticed, as a strolling player as you clearly are, you brought your guitar with you tonight.
I did bring my guitar.
Are you going to give us a little ditty?
Got a theory that I'm in love. So this heart, it beats for you. This mind, it's thinking of you most of the time. The sound of a choir filled my empty ears. This is a love that's true.
Hot gingerbread dynamite. Why drink nothing but that each night? Back in Nagasaki where the fellas choose backy and the women wicky wacky woo. Oh man, how they entertain. I mean they hurry a hurricane. Back in Nagasaki where the fellas choose backy and the women wicky wacky woo.
And then I got to the 17th floor and
you managed to get in through an open window.
Yep, yeah. And I knew which door their suite was because there was a guard outside.
Right.
And he was drinking a coffee and I waited until he had a call of nature.
Yes.
And the moment he slipped away, I ran, slipped in and knocked on the door, and to my amazement, Yoko answered. Wow. And I just said, please, can I have an interview for my school paper? And she said, yes. And she invited me in, and suddenly I'm face to face with John Lennon.
Okay, Toby, we're going to do a Doctor Who mastermind for you. Are you up for the challenge?
Yes, I have to say, because people say that I'm this expert on Doctor Who. I've never said I am.
Finish the quote. I'm tired of being an outsider, Doctor. I'll give you a clue. It didn't go well.
I want to go home?
I want to go back to my own people. Okay, we'll give you that. We'll give you that.
Oh, it's Romana, isn't it?
No, it was Adric.
Oh, yes.
Who composed March... I'll start it, so I'll finish. Who composed March of the Women?
Ethel Smythe.
Correct. Who wrote Stage Rights and is also appearing on SNS Online today?
Naomi Paxton.
Yeah!
You? Me, sir?
Yes, you. Who else is there? You down there, boy.
What, me, sir? But I'm just a poor Dickensian orphan from Penny Farthing Lane, sir. Strike a light in the year of our Lord 1822, sir. If my name's not Van Dyke's Dick, sir.
Yes, we get the idea. Don't milk it, love.
So here's one.
Go on then.
Michelle Hussain, that marvellous presenter that is at the BBC. I am quoted in her book. She's written a book called Skills, and probably the thing that thrilled me more than anything this year is I went to the launch of the book, where not only was I the smallest, but I was also probably the least famous person in the room. It was just kind of politicians, the top brass at the BBC, and me, and she name-checked me.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I was standing next to Claire Balding at the time, and I nudged Claire Balding in the room and I went, that's me, that's me.
What, sir? Begging your pardon, sir, but it's Christmas Day, sir. All day, sir.
Christmas Day?
Yes, sir. And me and my 245 brothers and sisters haven't eaten for 5 years, sir. And I'd do almost anything for a threepenny farthing crotchet bit, Your Honour.
Yes, well, we can discuss that later.
So that's probably the most exciting thing in a pink book called The Skills, which is actually a very good book as well.
About skills?
About skills.
Is it like holding your breath underwater and stuff like that?
Because Michelle Hussain would be famous for that, wouldn't she?
Stand-up comedy meets Alzheimer's and the upside of Hit Me.
What do they call it in America? The elevator pitch.
Yes.
Yeah. I suppose every comedian probably wants to write the show for Edinburgh that's a bit miserable. Okay. Because it just connects with what's on the inside of you. Try and make a joke about the thing that upsets you.
Celebrating 15 years of shows, 10 as a podcast. You're listening to SNS Online, presented, as always, by Nick Randell.
Okay, so we'll have a lovely introduction, blah, 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 blah. And react. And, okay.
I dare you to keep that.
Well, I'll leave it at the end or something like that. Okay. Right.